I hope you
17.
already are.
Oh, we're live.
Oh,
I think
we are.
All right. Welcome to the party, friends. I am Rebecca Anderson, and I am joined this evening by three of my favorite Victorian novelists. And we are here to talk about all kinds of things. But our good excuse to get together is the release of my new book, The Orchids of Ashthorne Hall. Yes. Did it work? It worked.
Oh, yeah. Special effects.
So let me take a second to introduce my friends, and we're just going to go from what I can see clockwise around. And so next to me is Nancy Campbell Allen. Nancy, will you tell us one of your favorite Victorian novels that you've written?
My favorite is actually probably also a steampunk, so I don't know if that counts, but I'm going to say that it counts. And it's Beauty and the Clockwork Beast, because it was the first of my steampunk series, and it just has a special place in my heart, and I really like it. And I threw everything Gothic that I love into it. So
awesome. Nice. Okay, and next we have Jennifer Moore. Jennifer, welcome. Hey. What is your favorite Victorian novel that you have written?
Solving Sophronia, and it's for the same reason. It's the first in the series, and I don't know, you get so excited about that first one, and it has a good special place.
Awesome. Thank you. And then we have Esther Hatch. Esther, tell us what your favorite Victorian novel that you've written is.
This is a tricky question. But today I will say Manor for Sale Baron included. It has no Gothic vibes. It's like my rom-com version of Victorian. But it's fun. It's the beginning of a series too, and was my first foray into like rom-comming up the Victorian era.
So fun. You guys, thank you for coming and joining us tonight. So we are going to talk a little bit about, we're going to just bring a Gothic vibe, because look at us. Aren't we obviously going to bring a Gothic vibe? Here we are, all in our pink and our...
At least I'm wearing black.
Yeah, I know. Nancy's totally dressed.
I'm bringing the Gothic with my space guns.
Yes.
Gosh. Okay, so maybe because I used to be an English teacher, I feel like I need to say, if you don't know what a Gothic novel is, there are lots of different kind of elements that could go together to make a Gothic novel. But some of the most important kind of Gothic elements for a novel to have are like atmospheric, and I'm going to say spookiness, and I want to describe the difference between spooky and scary, because I don't think they're the same thing. Okay. Spooky is like elemental, and something might be looking over your shoulder, but it doesn't necessarily want to hurt you, right? Like scary is chase, which is totally different. They can go together, but the spookiness is like atmospheric and moody and tonal. And there's a lot of weather in a Gothic novel, a lot of like heavy sky, clouds and rain, dark hallways, flickering candlelight, sometimes flickering gaslight, right? There's usually an element of something threatening in a Gothic novel. Often, I don't know if this is just historically, it's often like the patriarch of a family who is pulling strings to force people into all kinds of things they don't want to do. And sometimes that happens in a story and sometimes it doesn't, right? So you'll see some Gothic novels with that element. But really, there's usually a creepy house or caves. Like, I like houses, right? Because I just love the idea of a creepy, scary house. But you get this kind of, I don't know, place that becomes a character, right? So if you are a Gothic novel reader, then you probably remember details and elements of some of the houses where the stories take place. Okay, so, and you know what? There's usually a ghost or something that appears to be like a ghost. So let's start talking about ghosts, girls. If you were a ghost, where would you linger? Where would you haunt?
I would haunt like the Leighton Barnes and Noble. That's really specific. But my favorite thing is to just go and browse through all the books and look at all the things. And so if I were to just go and want to haunt something that I love, that would probably be the place. And I would tap
Awesome.
people and say, no, over there, over there.
So you would be a
So,
nice
yeah,
ghost.
I
That's
would be a
not,
nice
is that a
ghost.
haunting if you're a nice ghost? I guess it is.
No,
I-
I guess maybe a graveyard would be the next one, but because
But-
I think graveyards are cool, but that's also kind of
Ew.
prosaic.
No. Is it like a chance to go on a cool after death vacation? Or
Ooh,
are we
good idea.
thinking of like revenge and wanting to keep an eye on someone? Or
Who do you want revenge on,
I
Jenny?
don't know. That's what I think.
Or
I
you
feel like
could
this is what I would want to do is
someone.
scare someone all the
Someone.
time. Or someone. Do I have an
kids.
enemy?
You don't have an enemy.
No, I
Can you
probably
think of a
want to
place?
stay in my house. I love my house. But
I
then
love
like
that.
I would haunt the new people that move into my house. Like, don't you be moving my
Mhm.
furniture around. I
Don't
like
use that paint color.
houses. Yeah, don't do that.
How
So
about you, Esther?
my first thought that came to mind is kind of like Nancy's, but I picture like the ghost from Ghostbusters that's in the library and like pulling like old school Ghostbusters guys, not the new stuff, like pulling down all the books and they all fall down and freak out. I don't know why. That was like where my first mind went. She was kind of scary. So I'd be kind of
She was
perfect.
totally scary.
I know.
And then when
Yeah.
she screamed
like,
and her like jaw came all the way down.
Ah, yeah, that would be me. Yep. That'll be my
I love
job.
that. I would haunt a middle school girls' bathroom. And what I would do in my haunting is that I would shimmer the mirrors so that everybody looked 10% more beautiful.
And
Oh
you
my gosh,
whisper
you're like a
things to
nice
them.
ghost.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm kind of a nice ghost.
Be like, you
That
look
is
so cute.
brilliant.
Don't go out with him.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
You don't need that.
Yeah, you don't need that. Drop
You
that.
look great.
Drop those diet pills,
Yes.
sister.
Yeah.
Yes, you are
Those right down the
radiant. That's what I would say. I would be the
Yeah.
ghost who says you
Yeah.
are radiant.
Nice.
So not like
Maybe-
moaning Myrtle,
Mm.
like in
Yeah,
the
no,
bathroom.
not like
No,
that.
no.
Really just like your favorite aunt whispering in your ear.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I want.
Or like maybe somewhere like
it.
encouraging people to recycle or something. You know,
Oh,
just-
yeah. To choose the paper straw.
yeah, in the trash. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
So
Or you
altruistic.
remind people to take their reusable bags from the car because they always forget.
In the grocery store.
Yeah.
Because we need a
Or
ghost.
put the
because I don't
carts
know.
back
Yeah.
in the parking lot to put the
So
carts back.
probably the supermarket parking lot is where I would be.
You could cover a lot of territory. You could do a lot of good.
It's like,
That's awesome.
Okay. I wonder if any of you have like a ghosty story that you know, or that you've heard, or that you love. I do not have a great ghosty story, but I do
Jen
love the idea
does.
that sometimes I'm in a place and I just kind of feel this kind of like, like an ish, like a presence somewhere. I really like that, and I never feel afraid of that because it is maybe a little spooky, but it's not scary to me. Does anybody have a favorite ghosty story that they know or that they?
So like what real life happened to us, not like a ghost story told around
Well,
the
yeah,
fire,
or
but,
something
like,
that like is a family history story, or I don't know, something in your town.
We-
Jen.
I know I don't want to hurt any feelings though. If someone, I don't know. So there is a house in our family that is haunted and everybody's had kind of experience, but I don't want, anybody to
It's
feel
okay.
weird.
You don't have to say
But I
details.
will tell you this one story that happened to me, and it doesn't sound ghosty, but I promise this happened. So I had taken this tour, like the downtown Salt Lake City ghost tour, and they had said that the Red Lion, I don't even think it's still there, the Red Lion Inn in Salt Lake was one of the most haunted buildings. And so I was all excited because I think it was my husband's brother or someone was staying there. And so we met him up in the dining room or the whatever room they have for the, where you go and you just sit there and there's a drink and you're up on a high thing. My drink scooted across the table. And then I tried to make it happen again because I thought, sometimes there's condensation and stuff slips around. I tried to make it happen over and over, and no one believed me, but it slid right across the table. I know it was a ghost. So that's maybe
I
what
love
I
it.
would do if I was a ghost. Just like,
Just
Hang out.
like
Mess
a
with
cat.
people, scoop their drinks out of the way. Uh-huh.
Anyway, that's my ghosty.
Oh, that's
and then
good.
don't
Not very
repeat
good.
it.
Yeah, just once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Don't
once.
let
So
it happen
like,
again.
yeah.
One per customer.
Yeah, I have.
So everyone thinks that they're crazy. I love it.
Yeah, I love ghosty stuff. So
Yeah.
Me
That's
too. And in
fun.
fact, my daughter and I went on a ghost tour to Ogden High last fall. And Ogden High is supposed to be, I mean, it's
yeah,
classically haunted. And we went through all the things and the tunnels and all of this stuff and went into this science classroom where all this stuff happened. And the lady was like, well, the last group, we had a lot of activity. And I was like, oh.
oh,
So I
boo.
did not see even one ghost. We didn't hear anything or see anything. But I was hopeful and it did not happen. So I'm going to have to do it again.
Ogden City is supposed to be very haunted.
There's lots of
My
old
sister
stuff.
and I one time went to the cemetery because someone had told us where this haunting light comes and everything. And it was like 2 a.m, and the police came and they, found like these 2 moms there, and so they told us all sorts of stuff, like where there, I know, scary stuff had happened in that cemetery. It's cool.
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hmm.
That is
Guys,
awesome.
Esther,
feeling
have you,
like a
have you ever
wimp.
had any encounters?
No, I don't think so. I think we have some family history stuff, but like, maybe because I'm not actively looking, maybe I am a little scared.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
Yeah.
I would dare do like a ghost tour. And so, yeah, so
It's so much
I need
fun.
to be looking for them, I guess. And I haven't been. So
Well, it's kind of a fun tourist thing to do.
yeah.
I was at a conference in New
Yeah.
Orleans, and the people I was with were like, we
Mm.
have to go do this ghost tour. And I was like, this is just an excuse for us to walk through the city, stop at a bar, and walk through the city impaired. And they were like, yeah, we know, but we're doing it. And it was fun and it was harmless. And we did learn cool stories about people who had lived in homes,
Yeah.
and a city like that is so steeped in lore,
Oh, yeah.
like it's very piratey and it's very like that coastal lore, Anyway, it was really fun. Okay, let's talk about Gothic novels. So some of the more famous and more continuously read Gothic novels are also Victorian. We've got the Frankenstein, we've got the Wuthering Heights, we've got the Jane Eyre, so those stories kind of fit in with all of this this Gothic stuff and also Victorian, historical stuff. So what is your favorite Gothic novel? Nance, do you want to go first?
Other than Jane Eyre, yeah, Jane Eyre first and foremost. But other than Jane, I also like Dracula. And I consider it a Gothic novel, even though it's a little different, but it's vampires and spooky things in Victorian settings. And I don't know why it is that the Victorians have such a monopoly on ghost stories and Gothic stories, but it seems like that really is a thing. And maybe it's because their own fascination with death or something. I know that the Victorians viewed death a lot differently than we do and everything, but I have always really loved Dracula, and I certainly wouldn't want to be stuck in the castle.
Oh,
I don't want
yeah.
to meet him. He doesn't sparkle.
Yeah,
But,
no, he's not that good vampire.
yeah, he wasn't a nice one. So, but I don't know. It's just fun and fascinating to me. I just love it.
That's awesome. I did not read Bram Stoker's Dracula until like 2 years ago because I'm super scared of vampires. Because when I was a kid, I read a really scary vampire book that was an adult novel and I shouldn't have read it. And I'm not even going to tell you what it was, but it was so scary that I was like, I can't do vampires. Even to the extent that when I was a young mom and everybody was reading Twilight, I took a pass for a couple of years because I was like, nope, vampires are too scary. Sorry, I was just going to say an interesting thing about, and what was it? Oh, did I forget? Oh no, it was this whole like Victorians' obsession with death. Did you guys know that Albert, Queen Victoria's husband, the consort, Prince Consort Albert, died after they'd only been married long enough to have 9 kids, right? But she was a widow for like 45 years or something. Is that the right number? Because you guys are really good.
I don't know. A lot of years.
A long time.
Years,
and she was in mourning for most of her reign. And so it's kind of like she's the pop culture hero figure, right, in England. And she is constantly considering death and she's projecting that out to the world. And so I think that's a super interesting kind of element of her rule and this Victorian time period when she's the queen and she's thinking about death every single day when she gets dressed in her black clothes. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. All right, Jenny Moore, hit us with the Gothic novel.
I have 3, and I'll tell you really quick why they're so cool. It's because this one, Mexican Gothic, of course, it happens in a regular Gothic-y. Oh,
take it to the other side. There you go.
Okay, regular Gothic-y story in a creepy old house. But this one, Devil in the Dark Water, is a Gothic that takes place on a ship. And the ship is creepy. And is it haunted? Who's the murderer? You know, people are dropping. It's very cool. And then there's a contemporary one that I think is very cool, How to Sell a Haunted House. And it's scary. It's the same thing, except it's contemporary, which I think makes it very cool. So those are the 3 that I
also dolls.
Yeah. And
they're totally haunted dolls and not haunted house.
Yeah.
So scary.
They are terrifying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Esther?
So Jane Eyre was my favorite book for most of my life growing up. So definitely put that at the top of the list. I also really love Phantom of the Opera, the book. And like, I would consider that because of the theater being, and the creepy guy hiding around and stuff. So I think those 2 are probably the ones that I've read the most and enjoyed the most. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good ones. That's so fun. Those are really good suggestions. If you are a person who's like, nope, I'm out. I don't do scary. I don't do ghosts. It's okay. And you can actually still read this. I'm gonna advertise again. Look, marketing department. Look what I did. Because sometimes we, the readers, we, the characters in the book, think something's happening that is not what's happening. So I'm just going to put that there, not to be like a giant spoiler or anything. Okay, so you guys, I grew up in the 80s. And in my teenage years, there was just a big goth movement. Now, not gothic, just goth, right? Like we're talking about Michael Smith from The Cure, right? And kids who wore black lipstick and lots of eyeliner and painted their fingernails black. And I mean, this has had its resurgences every couple of years in different communities and stuff. But, you know, there were kids at my school with the big black trench coat that goes all the way to the floor, you know, and the dog collars with spikes on them and the scary ear piercings and, you know, like long spiky studs and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the most goth thing I've ever done. And it's not very goth. I bought some really dark purple nail polish and I painted my toes and they looked black. That's it, you guys. That's about as goth as Becca has ever been. What is the most goth moment of your life?
Probably the first time I painted my fingernails black. Also, it's the fingernails. I don't know, because I have lived a very sedate, very normal-ish life. Maybe normal is not the right word, but one of these days, I think we should like have a party. My favorite holiday is Halloween. So maybe I should dress up as like a goth girl for Halloween, or we should have some kind of gothic party and, you know, all us middle-aged moms show up looking gothic.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I think my most goth thing, and it's not even like the black clothes and scary stuff, but it's more like the angsty, sad pain of teenager life. There was a boy that I danced with in the 8th grade dance, and I, you know, thought that we were in love, and anyway, we were not in love, and I don't quite remember what happened, but I do know that he did not love me the same way that I loved him. So I recorded on a tape. This dates me to the 80s. Over and over and over, I recorded the Bangles song, It Must Have Been Love, But It's Over Now.
It's over now.
Played it on repeat for like hours until my dad came in and took it out of the thing. And it's like, we're done with this song now. Okay. Right. Did all the, but it's so, you know, so yeah, that's my goth moment.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
That was awesome.
Esther, how about you?
So I think for me, I had to think about this. So probably also, I think 8th grade-ish, I had a report on Egypt that I did, and I dressed up like an Egyptian, but I dyed my hair black for it.
Oh.
And my hair is originally quite dark. Like it is darker than Jenny's, but like it was just dark enough to be black. And it was like a wash. It was like a washout, like eventually. But I remember like the next day going to school after doing my presentation and having people going, did Esther dye her hair black? You know, it's like junior high. And
Wow.
I don't know that she would dye her hair black. And I felt so cool. I was like, I totally
She's
dyed
so
my hair
edgy.
black.
So
For
edgy.
my Egyptian, like, you know, book report or whatever it was.
Oh,
So,
you guys, I
awesome.
love it. I love the glimpse of past you. I taught creative writing at a high school for years, and my favorite thing was making the kids write poetry, because there is nothing gother than like a 9th grade girl's sad poetry, right? Like she's bleeding ink onto the page and everything, you know, and it's just somehow as readers and frankly as teenage writers, right, we are drawn to those really top of the surface emotions. The easiest to access are the sad ones, right? And somehow when we read a book that has that kind of stuff in it, even though we know in our head that it's kind of silly, it is easy to slide in and like get invested in those top, I don't know. I feel like the emotions sit at the top of your lungs, right? At like your collarbones, right? And it's just really easy to like plug in to those kind of things. And that's really fun.
You know, but I have a thought about that.
Yes, please.
I was watching a Stevie Nicks interview once. Speaking of goth, she had her moments, you know, and she was talking about being a young, emotional teenager and getting over that first love, and how we always tell kids, oh, you're young, you'll get over it, blah, blah, blah. And her comment was, I never have hurt more in my life than I did at that moment. As an adult, my pain has not been any deeper than it was then, you know? And so even though we kind of dismiss it and stuff, the pain and all that stuff and the angst the struggle is real. I mean, no matter how old you are. And I just think it's interesting that we kind of still look for that. We want to escape into that, you know, like with reading or whatever, movies, because, you know, it's a safe way to experience it. And it's a very intense emotion, you know, that kind of betrayal and angst and missing someone so much it hurts, you know, that sort of thing. But I always thought that was really interesting. I don't hurt anymore now than I did then.
Wow.
You know, that was real pain. So
yes,
yeah,
and
like
it's real pain. That is so fascinating. I love that.
Stevie.
And
Stevie.
Yeah, she's the queen.
She's wise.
She's wise.
Let's see. Do I have another question on here? Oh, hey. Okay. So we talked a little bit about like the idea of haunted places, and you can believe it or not believe it, of course. And if you love the idea of, you know, like visitations from someone on the other side who loved this place and wants to stay there, and you can picture Jenny Moore, right, in the ghost of Jenny Moore in her own home. But if somebody tells you, okay, this is a haunted hotel, a haunted Airbnb, a haunted castle, what would it take to get you to stay there?
I'd stay.
Nothing. I would stay.
And I have.
I would. Not by myself. I wouldn't stay by myself, but I would stay with. Would
your husband like get into it? Is he like a guy who would be like, "Cool, yeah, let's go to a haunted"? Yeah,
yeah, because he doesn't buy into it. You know, I'm like, "Oh, ghosts are real," and he's like, "Yeah, blah blah blah." But yeah, I wouldn't necessarily want to stay in a really spooky haunted place by myself. I'd stay with Jen.
I was going to say that's what it would take.
Haunted hotel.
Like you guys having a haunted hotel party and inviting me, I would not be able to say no. I would be like, okay, pull out the black hair dye. I'm coming.
I kind of love this idea. We might have to do kind of like a Gothic Victorian Halloween I was going to
think
say
that's a great idea.
ball, but that sort of
Sleepover.
implies that we have to dance with men. I don't want to dance with men.
Mhm.
I have a man that I like, but I don't want all of them. But maybe we should have like a dinner and then like and it's got to be an
golf
Ogden
dinner.
apparently because the most haunted city.
Or Tonopah,
Yeah.
Nevada is supposed to be so haunted.
Mm.
I've stayed
Oh.
there, tried it out. No ghosts.
No,
But
you didn't see any.
Jen, you're like, sign me up.
Yes,
It doesn't
sign
take anything to
me
convince
up.
you to stay in a creepy haunted place.
I
You would
would
stay by
drive
yourself.
out of my way to go. Yeah, totally.
Mhm, mhm.
I think ghosts know that I'm too desperate to see them. There's like pathetic.
They're like,
Like, oh,
cats
she's
for
no
you,
fun.
right?
Never
Like,
mind.
Come here. You're like pss, 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 to the ghosts, and they're like,
Please scare me.
oh, that's awesome. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, okay. It's 1887. This book takes place. I'm just one more time, girls. I'm gonna flash it one more time. It's 1887, and you somehow slipped through the time portal, and you're in Cornwall in England in 1887. What are the modern conveniences you miss most? I did not prepare you for this question.
Mhm.
Painkillers.
Because
That's a good
you
one.
would become an opium addict, like
I
all the babies.
Yeah,
in
they
I
Victoria.
hope not. I hope not.
So we
but
call
you.
Esther out of that opium gem.
One.
They would.
I
Heroin
Yeah.
is, on the streets.
Yeah, it was weird, you guys.
You
There's
go
some
to the
weird
dentist and get
research.
cocaine. So,
Yeah.
all right.
so maybe
Like
I wouldn't
baby
miss
formula.
it. You're-
You wouldn't miss
I think you'd be fine.
Yeah, maybe you'd
I'd
be
be
okay,
fine.
Esther.
You'd have better access than we do
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Reconsider that one.
There we go. Okay.
Oh, I'm just teasing.
Mine's always plumbing, though. I think plumbing is always
Yeah.
my big. I mean, I can light a candle. Being without electricity is a nuisance, but not having a decent bathroom to
Yeah.
me is really not great.
Yeah.
So that would be mine.
Because
That's
it-
always my go-to.
Affects the smell, don't you think?
Mm,
Like if there's
absolutely.
sewage or even
Yeah.
like no deodorant or
Mhm,
no
mhm.
diapers, the smell.
Yeah.
Or
hygiene.
also penicillin or just vaccination.
Life-saving
Yeah.
meds.
I don't want to
Yeah.
get yellow fever or whatever.
or any of
Yeah.
those.
Any of
The
that.
plague.
For me, it
Plague.
would be laundry. I read this really great book that is over there on a shelf, and I'm not going to stand up and go get it, but it's called How to Live Like a Victorian. How to Live Like a Victorian. Is that what it's
Oh,
called?
yeah.
And they talk about laundry and how people don't wash their clothes regularly. And when you were a fancy lady and you had like dresses with layers and layers of fabrics and ruffles and lace, they would actually have to remove the silk and lace from your gown before they could clean it and then sew it back on. So like this is not a regular occurrence. And so yeah, just kind of thinking about the smells. Like, and I was a theater kid, and so I've worn a lot of other people's clothes, in costuming and stuff. And the idea that you put on this really cool looking dress and then you just do one big inhale and you're like, oh, this was a mistake.
Right.
Mhm.
And there's
They
no
did
air
wear all
conditioning.
their underclothing though, so
Mhm.
like I feel like they would wash that more.
And
I
that
would
does get washed more,
guess,
right? But still
but-
not as often
but
as you
still.
want.
Well, I just think smells in general. Like
Yep.
they had to we're very
Smells
fortunate.
sensitive.
'Cause I feel
Yeah.
like
Do
the
you think
houses
maybe
would
they
have
didn't
smelled, the
even notice
people.
it? Maybe
don't
they didn't
know, I
even
wonder-
notice it. If everybody
I have-
smells the same, then maybe it's,
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
I
like
don't
your
know.
breath. And
I bet
don't
you
know.
do.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's a reason perfumes have been around for so long, and smelling soaps and lavender sachets.
Oh
And,
yeah.
I mean,
The
That is
original
true.
uh,
That is
what do
like
they
true.
call it, like
essential oils.
nosegays or whatever. We
Yeah.
used to carry that thing close.
Maybe
Maybe the cocaine helps with the.
I've heard that.
deaden,
Uh-huh.
I've
deaden
actually
the tissues.
so fired,
no,
you guys.
I think that's true.
It does. It kills your
Yeah.
Yep,
nose.
kills,
your
kills your
sniffer.
nose. So
Yeah.
They
So
were
I
like-
would have been okay.
Don't do it, you guys.
Yeah, it's
Don't
fine.
do it. You'd hate to lose the chance to smell when you cut open a grapefruit. Like best smell ever.
mm,
Yeah.
true.
Okay. We have one more little. We're going to say goodbye because I just looked at the clock and we have like 30 seconds. So I just want to thank you, friends, for coming and sharing this evening and being excited for this book. And The Orchids of Ashford Hall. Find it wherever books are sold. All right. Oh, wait. We need to do a love first. I love you guys. Thank you for coming. Watch how cute.
It's so cute, but mine doesn't work.
My heart's not
I'm
working.
incapable.
Oh, turn it, Nance.
Mm.
Esther, I don't know.
Oh,
That
mine
one's for
doesn't
you,
work.
Esther. Here's another one for you, Esther.
Thanks.
We'll see.
Oh,
Whatever.
dang it.
I'll do
That's for you.
these.
Okay,
Thank you.
we're going to do one more
I can't make it
creepy
work.
gothic thing. Ready?
Okay.
Oh. All right.
Mm,
Good
mine's not very
night.
creepy.
Have a spooktacular evening.
Ooh.
Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.
Bye, everyone.